Welcome, everyone. My name is Andrea. My pronouns are she, her. This is Recovering Our Wholeness Together with Lynn and Andrea. I am in recovery from alcohol, anxiety, disordered eating, loss, grief, lots of other things too. I'm a mom of two young adult sons who are now out of the nest for the first time, which is really exciting. I'm a licensed professional counselor in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, a certified professional recovery coach, a She Recovers coach, designated coach, Reiki level 3 practitioner, an artist, yes, a wife, lots of things, and a friend to the fabulous Lynn Galliano. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you. I feel so out of practice because we've been off for a couple
Ben,
of months.
it's been a
I'm like
while.
listening to you, and I'm like, I'm not going to remember what I say here. So I'm Lynn Galliano. I am, let's see, a wife, a mother, a grandmother to an adorable 2-year-old little boy, step grandparent to um, an 11-year, I can't believe 11-year-old girl and a step grandson who just started college. So amazing. Yeah, and I'm a board certified behavior analyst. And I am a She Recovers Foundation designated coach, a recovery coach, Reiki master, mindfulness trainer. And I am a new chief clinical officer at a new ABA company that was just started over the summer, which is where I have been putting my time and effort this summer. So pretty excited about that. Um, I don't know if I forgot anything. She, her, and in recovery from alcohol, anxiety, FOMO, dopamine chasing, all of that good stuff. And happy to be here with my friend Marcey Donnelly, who is now Andrea's friend Marcey Donnelly too. I introduced them, and I've known Marcey for a couple of years, like several years now. We met through our same Reiki teacher. And we were just sort of instant friends. There was just instant love that flowed between us, and I feel very grateful that she is here and joining us, and grateful that she's in my life. So her bio is that Marcey Donnelly is an ICF certified coach who integrates her facilitation skills with a thriving 25-year career in finance, specializing in leadership, process improvement, and project management. As a natural organizer, she combines her corporate expertise with a passion for helping others transform their lives through retreats, workshops, and coaching. Marcy is also a certified Reiki master and a committed community volunteer, bringing heart centered guidance to everything she does. She's also co author of The Inside Guide, Breaking Through to Intuitive Wisdom and Inspired Living. And she's also been my own personal entrepreneurial coach. So, welcome, Marcy. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Lynn. Thanks, Andrew. I'm thrilled to be here, and it's such an honor. I really appreciate the chance to have a chat and be in community with both of you. And
Thank you.
Um, when we first reached out to you, when Andrea and I first reached out to you to join this, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was the fact that you do retreats, and we are considering doing a retreat. Before we get to that, could you maybe share a little bit about who you are as a coach and your book, and a little bit kind of like where that because I know you also have another job, so kind of like weave in like what you're working on, what your offerings are to individuals and groups right now, and then we can maybe talk about the retreat too.
yeah, it sounds great. I came to this work, and when I say it's work, it's what I call like transformation, self-reflection, embodiment. It's been part of my entire life, and I've always kind of chased the next thing. What's the next, the secret or affirmations or breaking through boundaries, and so I've been um, really interested for myself in all types of transformational work. And really, what led me to where I'm at today was working with a coach myself, who I ended up co authoring this book with called The Inside Guide. And what I personally learned, which is why I decided to get my coaching credential and start transitioning from kind of my day job to, I think somebody said, your yay job, which is really finding my inner calling and finding my purpose. There's been a lot of really destructive habits and um, people in my life that I've tried to serve. And so I was kind of a people pleaser in the past and always caught up in busyness. And with my work with Michael, who had the idea for the book, I realized like the only way through is really to center back into yourself. And
Mhm.
so I've done this work. I've worked with him over the past 8 years, and about 4 years ago, we started writing this book together. And it was really such a thrilling opportunity to dive deep into all of the tools because it's one thing to feel good on a retreat and learn a lot and be in community, which retreats have. It's kind of the perfect time to step out of your daily life and be in community. What I like about the work that I do with coaching or when we're together in a retreat, um, is I like the practical tools too, to be able to bring all of these great awakenings or tools into your daily life because it's one thing to we call it like sitting on the mountaintop. We have those big connection experiences, but we have to go back to the village. Like Andrea, I just sent a kid off to college. How do I deal with all of those feelings? In the past, I would go to the refrigerator or binge this or that. And so now I have the tools to sit with things that are coming up and really reflect on it in a way so that I not only helps myself personally, but then I could come out into the world and see the world from a different perspective and serve my purpose, which is doing this work. So I love the balance between a spiritual Reiki infused spiritual connection to self and how are you still taking action in your life? How do you still reclaim your action as a choice through spirit and self? And it's kind of have life flow versus be so forced. And that's the place that I live and work with clients and present in retreats.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I think that you make such a really good point, which is that we need tools, right? We need to feel equipped to deal with life's stressors, right? We're always going through transitions and major transitions, most of us, right? Even though we may not be so hyper aware of it in the moment. And so I'm wondering, what advice would you give to someone new to this work, whether they're new to Reiki, they're new to energy work, they're new to recovering, to focusing on their own wellness? Where do you even begin?
Yeah, it's interesting. In the past, I would say, go read a book and figure out the 5 things that somebody tells you to go and follow. But really, the magic lives within. And that's why our book is called The Inside Guide. Being able to sit quietly and meditation or contemplation means different things to different people. Some may call it prayer, others may find silence and contemplation walking on the beach. For me, my practice is sitting quietly in meditation, and I have a regular practice. And it's not to sit to override what's coming up as my mind wanders. It's really just to start noticing. So I think the start for anyone who's new to this work is just to start noticing, especially noticing what's happening in your brain, what's happening in your body. And then if you do have intuition or gut or your heart, like what's happening in your heart when you sit in quiet contemplation. And there's so much wealth to learn by starting to quiet down our mind a little bit. And just even if you do it for a minute, if you're not ready for a regular practice, it's come up with a time when you could take a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, just to sit in silence with self and observe and just notice and see what comes up.
That's so helpful, and that really feels like something that's a manageable, ask. right? To be able to do that, right? Just to take a couple minutes, just to take 5 minutes and be with yourself and see what arises. And it can be really uncomfortable.
For sure. For sure. And that's okay. It's you're just noticing. We have um so many opportunities to judge ourselves all throughout the day. and 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 so to even notice the judge and ask who's judging and to see when that judge comes up, what's happening in your body, what's happening in your heart, where do you feel it, and just notice. And that's really the beauty of noticing, because then you're going to start bringing awareness to the way that your mind functions. And your mind, it's akin to a software program where it's just running these little tapes and patterns, and that's what our book talks a lot about. Michael is a master practitioner of neurolinguistic programming, so we have a lot of mind-body connection references in the book. Um, but just even once you begin to notice, then you could start feeling what it's like, and observing what's happening in your mind and your body when you are even feeling uncomfortable. And it's a great thing to start putting words to that and start learning what your own programming looks and feels like.
Really glad that you guys brought that up because I have recently discovered that I have a filter and I it's a tool that I can use if I am feeling if I first of all remember to even check in with myself. That's the if you remember to use the tool, it works better. But if I do that, if I feel like buzzy energy in my chest, then it's not the right thing, or at least it's not the right time for that thing. Like that, like this very like, "Oh, I have to have it. It's so shiny, it's so great, it's so new. That's the best, blah, 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 whatever it is. It's probably not the right time for that, or it's just not the right choice at all. But if I am feeling my stomach is very relaxed, my belly is very like open, soft, not clenched, the muscles aren't clenched, but just like, toddler belly, right? Where they just kind of like hangs out. That's when that thing, that whatever it is, whether it's, a career decision or a new friend or whatever, that's now my gauge. And so I have learned to use that sort of like somatic processing of where are you feeling it in your body? And then I can, ask, is this something that I want to move forward with or press pause or skip it? Yeah, it's a really great tool. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great example. There actually, you said that you're recovering from FOMO. Somebody mentioned JOMO, the joy of missing out. And really, if it's not the right time, it's not the right time. And who knows what other opportunities will open up. One of my favorite affirmations is the world is conspiring in my favor. So if it's
Mhm.
not right, usually I'll know within a short period of time, even though there's part of me that really wants to hop on board with things. That's one of the best practices, and one of the best real life changes that has come out of doing this work is learning how to say no. Learning how
Mhm.
to discern, am I saying yes to something because it's a gut yes, like you described, Lynn, or am I saying yes because of my people pleasing behavior and habits, and that I feel like compelled to do something that really inside isn't aligned to what my purpose is and what's important to me. And that's a great example. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah,
I've
one of the
learned.
questions,
Oh,
go ahead.
well, I was just going to finish that one thought is that speaking of Reiki, because we're all Reiki practitioners, when I again remember my tool and use Reiki, every time I align, and that's kind of what Reiki has become of meaning to me is stillness in the mind and saying to the universe, is this aligned with your purpose for me? The universe is conspiring in my favor. Knowing that the universe absolutely wants the best for me, always has my back, and believing it 100%, then when something comes up that maybe is of interest or I'm unsure of, and I stop to ask and say, I'm just giving this to you, universe, let me know, show me whatever signs, there's 100% accuracy. Like it's never ever failed me. It's never misguided me. I've let go of things that I thought were going to be perfect and weren't at all, just by tuning in and doing like that 5 minutes of the self Reiki practice. So just wanted to finish with that. Sorry, Andrea, go ahead.
Yeah, no need to apologize. I think your book, I'm so excited to talk about your book. Your book talks a lot about living with ease and purpose. And one of the questions is, who am I? And I think that that's a question that we, as women, and a lot of us, in recovery doing this work, also, we all have children, and so this work, it impacts them and it impacts their relationships, right? And so asking yourself from time to time, just checking in, say, who am I right now in this moment, right? Like for me, my life has changed so much in just a matter of weeks because now my kids are at school for the first time, right? And so I think that that can be that can feel like an anchor to come back to that. Um, and I'm just wondering how you might answer that question right now.
Yeah, it's great because what I expected my life to be like at this point, it's totally different. Um, and I thought asking who am I was this esoteric question that you reflect on for your whole life, but really the magic is getting to the practical. Who am I? What are my interests? What things get me super excited? Because usually that somewhat aligns to your purpose. So
Mhm.
once I realized, as an example, I used to beat up on myself that I would read books or take courses and I wouldn't follow through and be like a disciple of a certain method of something and commit to it. And then I realized another way to look at it is I have a love of learning. And I get little tools and pieces and hints from many different things. So the shift between, oh gosh, you read that book and it has this practice in it that you didn't fully complete and weren't an expert in. It's like, you know what? Who am I in this moment? Hey, that thing did not completely align to who I am. And at the core, and it starts actually in the book, the first appointment I had with Michael, we sat down and he said, "So what's going on?" And I said, "Well, I have this, I got the job, the husband, the blah blah, but I'm still not happy." And I don't talk about it much, but I have kind of I can't think of anything that's really severely off right now, but I'm still genuinely I'm not happy in my life. There's something broken. There's something missing. And immediately he said, "Who you are, Marcy, there's nothing broken. There is nothing missing. Who we are as in our core, we are whole and complete. It's the programming, it's what our society asks of us, it's the demands that we've let other people put on us, it's the childhoods that we've been raised in that we've had to adapt our personality to. It's all of this conditioning. And the beauty of this work, going back to your question, is really going through and saying, gosh, who am I? I am a completely organized person, but now I embrace chaos too, because there's two sides. There's a shadow side to all of these brilliant things in our life of who we are, and learning to embrace what is true and real. And I get chills thinking about it because it opens up this mystery of life in a very practical way. That's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah, thank you for that.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the fact that you are not only a Reiki practitioner, but you love yoga. And yoga is a really big part of your life. I have bad knees, as everyone knows, and arthritis, so I'm not doing like yoga mat yoga, but um, you had said something to me at one point about you're not like the traditional yoga person either. please word it in your actual words because I just butchered that. But I'm in thinking about, we are planning to do a retreat at some point, and I want to talk about that a little bit. If yoga would be a part of it, like what that would look like to be more accessible to like everyone, because I think that people either, really are already yoga practitioners and they know it and they love it and they get what it is, or they're maybe afraid of it. Like, what if I don't do it perfectly? What if I don't have the perfect yoga body? What if XYZ? And so I wondered if you would be willing to talk about that a little bit, because I know yoga breath work really works well for me, and I do chair yoga because, arthritis. But talk a little bit about yoga if you would.
Yeah, thanks. The ironic thing is I had a yoga practice 20 something years ago and it was the best shape I had ever been in. Something naturally shifted. I was handling stress better. My eating was well balanced. I was just naturally taking better care of myself. Fast forward 20 years after a marriage and kids and the crazy busyness of life, um, when Michael and I started writing, the second part of our book which is focused on body. I had a friend call and say, and this is like I said 4 years ago. She said, "Do you want to join this yoga studio?" And I said, "Well, I happen to be working on the body part of the book, so thank you, universe, again. Thank you, God. Thank you, universe, source, for giving me this opportunity." And I went right back to getting on a yoga mat in a very gentle yin class because there's some very restorative, gentle classes available. Um, and I beat myself up. I compared myself with everybody else in the room, everybody else in their yoga attire. I beat myself with what I couldn't do and how did I let myself get out of shape. And then we went through this writing of this book where you really tune into what your body is trying to say to you and how do
Mhm.
you embrace your body as it is today,
Mhm.
not who I was 20 years ago, not who I'm going to be 10 years, but how do I accept who I am today? And again, notice when I'm in a yoga pose and something comes up, let me notice that. And the practice of yoga is really a practice of turning back to self. It is one of my favorite things. I never thought I would do hot yoga, and I got into hot yoga, and that was a challenge. I've had many panic attacks in a hot yoga class. So your shadow comes out in these in there's a lot of emotion stored in body. So yoga also can wring some of that out, but it's so adaptable. So if you haven't tried it, there are such a variety of classes out there. A lot of yoga studios are doing sound baths with crystal bowls. So you go in a meditative state and you tune into your body and the vibration of the sound bowls does something with your nervous system. So I would highly encourage. I Yoga is a regular practice of mine. I'm now a yoga ambassador for our studio. And again, I do not have a shape of a perfect yoga person. I have a really weird scoliosis curve, so there's some poses I'll never be able to do. But to love and accept myself with what I could do today and to learn breath work, it has been really powerful. And it's something that I'll never master. It's something that's going to be a continued practice. But yeah, it's a passion. I love it. And the community I'm part of is amazing. That's the other big benefit is community.
I'm so excited about yoga, hearing you talk about your
Wow.
yoga practice. And as I told you when we first met, I want to love yoga, but I don't yet. And for those who may know a little bit more about me and my recovery history, I was a dancer from the time I was 5 until I was, in college. And so um, there's something about being even at the Y in a room filled with mirrors, and people, like you said, in their yoga gear that feels really, really difficult. But there are so many different ways to practice yoga. And what I love is, yeah, like I'll take a sound bath any day. I love doing any, visualization, meditation, deep breathing. But the thing that I think is missing for me in the sort of adjacent yoga adjacent ways that I practice that type of movement um, is the community, right? And I know for a lot of women in recovery, so for me, when I was originally going to 12-step meetings in my 20s, there weren't other options like She Recovers or, you know, Recovery Refuge or Dharma Recovery or things like this. A lot of people, women especially, I think, would really lean into their yoga communities to have that community aspect of recovering because it feels good to be with other, for me, women who are on the path to recovery and are actually taking specific action steps towards, you know, being in more alignment with what they want their life to look like. So it's really inspiring to me, and I really hope that I get to do yoga with you, Marcy.
Be amazing, and I would definitely bring my sound bowls. I will have them packed for the retreat. There's really something sacred to sound and being embodied, and so there we definitely will do some type of gentle body work. And if you haven't tried yoga and you were interested, go try it at a studio. And going back to what Lynn said, if you feel it in your gut and you have that warm feeling of, gosh, this is a great community, then pursue it. If in your heart you're feeling, like she said, that anxious, feeling like you don't belong, give it a chance with a class, but look for a community that serves you, because really the best yoga practitioners, and I've tried to take yoga classes when I travel because I'm really curious to see what other practices are like, and it's a lot of fun. And again, you would not point me out as the best yogi in a class, but this is an individual practice. You are on your mat. And guess what? The whole rest of the class is probably focusing on the mirror, and they're probably nervous about that. I mean, there are poses that you could do one week that you can't do the next week. And a really good instructor will continue to tell you to listen to your body, to modify your poses, to sit down or lay down if that's what's calling to you. And so it's that same practice of going back within. And again, it's just so much fun. And I'm fortunate to be part of a great community, but there are a lot of really good communities out there.
Yes, that's such a good point that you make is like how you feel in that space, but also with that instructor. I don't usually do this, but I had the urge to do yoga when I was away with my husband and kids. We went to Cape May, New Jersey, and took a yoga class on the beach. So not in a studio space with mirrors and mats. It was towels and the ocean, and the sound of the instructor's voice. And it was the night before the full moon. And it was just such a powerful experience. And to know that that is accessible, because going back to what you shared about the book, it's within you, right?
Right, right. That sounds magical. That
Uh,
sounds amazing.
And I have a Tibetan singing bowl that I got for Christmas last year that I rarely use. So I will bring it and we can like do some sound work together. Because Marcy and I actually, I think we met in a sound bath. Like I think that was the first time we met is at Shelly and Mike's amazing sound bath that they do here in Danville, California. Um, let's talk a little bit about retreats. You have some experience leading them. This is going to be a women's recovery retreat. I kind of wondered what you love about retreats and what your vision is as our guest presenter. Like we're so honored that you've agreed to do this for our community. We don't have to settle on a specific theme today, but just maybe talk about your ideas and your previous retreat experience a little bit so people will know what to expect.
Well, first of all, thank you, because retreats are my favorite thing to do. To be able to step out of your everyday life and be within a community where there's safety and trust. And it is that mountaintop experience in the retreats that we've either facilitated or that I've attended myself. After time together, and I always feel like who the people that come together are the people that were divinely ordered to be there. I think that there's something mystical in that nature as well. So these groups that come together, everybody's made the commitment to step away from all of our responsibilities and to invest their time and their money basically to step out of their life to work on themselves and to take a moment in a space that tends to be a sacred space within community where some really deep work happens. And we were talking before about, especially with COVID, that we're so remote and that people, I believe, in my experience, especially lately, is that we're craving community. That is
Mhm.
a key to well-being, is being in community with other like-minded thinkers. And I can imagine how amazing both of you are that there's a community that's being drawn to want to be together. And there's something special that happens in that space with that energy. So Michael and I have facilitated retreats and one-day workshops. And again, every time we leave, and I just felt like I think the last one that we did, I literally went and got teary-eyed in my car because I just felt so grateful to be part of the experience of this group together. And my vision for a not necessarily a specific topic, but especially I think those in recovery and through my own experience, I would like to see people come that want to gently reconnect with their ability to take action. We kind of started with that we at the beginning we talked about how we all have these old patterns, and especially I see with women, it's almost this like need to be wrapped up and super busy. And that it's almost a badge of honor of I'm so busy, I have so much stuff going on, and we just feel pulled in the hustle and bustle of life and in many different ways. And so, what I would plan on taking the group through is how can we embody that difference between force and flow? Ease and flow is my mantra. How do we reclaim taking action as our choice? What aligns with us? And that to me is rooted in taking action so we could live our lives going back to that village, but also coming from a place of self and spirit. So we'll have some discussion around what the difference is with force and flow and have some reflective conversations. We always do a closed eyed visualization. And then often we break up and do partner work because sometimes it's nice on both ways one on one to hold space for someone else, and then also to have one on one somebody holding space for you, and then I'll have exercises around the topic of this force and flow. And then really, again, what I love about the retreats that we've done is you have this mountaintop experience and this big notebook full of all these things. And then you go back home and you practice, and then it gets buried somewhere and you're back to your old habits. So what I really like is tuning in a way where the retreatants could feel a way where they could discern like what's right for them truly for next steps. Like how
Mm.
could, and then also accountability. Like, is there a way that we could support the continued growth from, coming up with a different way to re-enter into life?
Yes, that really feels like putting that that community emphasis into action,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Creating space and opportunity for people to stay connected and to get support because yes, I have a lot of those notebooks.
Me too. Me too.
Yes, and it would be good to just feel like you even just to make that connection one-on-one. I think that's something that can really carry over into real life.
For sure.
I like
I
to
know.
ask folks, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Boy, I'm really just jumping right in today.
Go,
Um,
go.
I'm thinking about the Reiki precepts. I like to
Mhm.
ask folks about how they practice those principles in their life. But I'm thinking about in terms of retreat, and then daily practice, right? Like you talk about this mountaintop experience, which can feel very powerful and very moving, also very overwhelming. Like, how do I incorporate that? And for me, and I know for Lynn, because we practice self Reiki daily, um, I think that the Reiki precepts have really become guidelines for me in terms of how I recover, right? So, how I check in and notice, like you were saying, who am I? Well, I am a woman who is kind not only to my loved ones, my clients, my peers, but to myself. And I have to remember that and I have to practice that. So I'm wondering how the precepts might align with some of the work that you've done with your book and just with your own journey to wholeness.
Yeah, there was something special. Again, I was out there searching for what's next. What do I learn? And the minute I learned Reiki and put my hands in certain Reiki positions, it felt like coming home. And I've never had a Reiki practice where I've used it on clients. I've done Reiki and I've taught a couple of folks Reiki as well. So I've done a little bit of teaching Reiki level 1 and 2, but I have my own evening practice. And if I could just say a funny story, um, I there's these Reiki symbols, and I always use a distance Reiki symbol to send Reiki to my future, or if there was something coming up from a traumatic experience, I'll also send Reiki to the past. But it so my self practice is using Reiki with my meditation, sending it to the future or past. But I have this practice, it's at night, and usually as I'm going to sleep, I would send Reiki to the next day. But the funny thing is, I will be laying in bed and my husband will walk in and look, and I'm doing these movements of these symbols in the air. I don't even know if he knows what I'm doing, but it's so funny. It's like, okay, I want to draw them out today. So I'm just going to do my air symbols. And it looks like I'm probably orchestrating some concert. And, so I have some funny Reiki practices. But I'm part of a Reiki text group that where people are able to text in if there are loved ones that are going through difficult time. So I do use Reiki within community as well. But really, my practice that I found the most valuable is getting up, getting dressed, sitting, and as my computer boots up, I go and do a meditation, a silent meditation. I do affirmation, and then I do a Reiki practice. But it
Mhm.
really is a gift to connect to this energy that just makes me feel like I'm healing potentially some trauma from the past as these difficult things come up. Um, and then being in a space of love. I mean, what would love want? And I think what would Reiki want of me in this situation? And it just feels like really embodied in a different way, and it just aligns to my soul and my spirit. I just like it's this mystical magical tool that that has really practically though uh showed me a lot of beautiful brilliant things in my life. It's a practice, and I don't know, it just feels so aligned from the moment I learned and sat in my first class. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. I don't think I have such a formal practice. I have to just remember to do it. And usually it's when I'm falling asleep and then I fall asleep. Or maybe when I wake up in the morning, then that's better because then I get
Yeah.
up and I can say the precepts of just for today and remind myself not to be angry and not to be worried and be grateful and be kind and show up authentically. And that's what I try to do in the mornings. So our if we do, yeah, not if, when we do the retreat, a couple of notes. It will be a She Recovers Foundation fundraiser, which means that a portion of the proceeds we are donating to She Recovers Foundation. Don Nickel and Taryn Strong are the co-founders of she recovers, and we are really lucky to know them and have them in our community. And we are looking at Santa Cruz Mountains area. Marcy and I are going to go for an overnight and make sure that the area is going to be exactly what we're looking for, and it's going to really serve our community. It's about an hour from the local Bay Area airports, San Francisco, Oakland, and San Jose, which is really good because people have a choice of where they could fly in from, or, local Californians can drive. Um, Sometime in 2026, we'll figure that out as we go. Do you have anything else that you guys wanted to share? I didn't tell you this, so you can say no, Marcy, but I was gonna put you on the spot. When you and I have worked together, you have ended our meetings with a really great, sort of partially guided meditation about, if you and you start from like you wake up in the morning and then you're like, and I thought maybe you could just kind of share that, and we could do that for a minute. Obviously, we're not going to have a bunch of dead air with people just staring at our faces. But kind of put that out there so that people can practice it on their own, because I do that. I go back to that space as my life is changing. I have this new business. I have some new relationship things going on, and I go back to that. So if you don't have anything else, maybe you could share that with our viewers. But I don't
Sure.
know, Andrea might have something that she wants
No,
to.
I would love that. I think that would be amazing.
Okay. Okay, so if everyone, again, if you feel comfortable to close your eyes and take a deep breath and really just get grounded and wherever you're sitting, just feel your feet on the floor and feel your body touch wherever you're at. If you're sitting in a chair, on a couch, or wherever you're at, just take a deep breath and let it out gently. You could even feel your fingertips. Just rub your fingertips together and remember you're in this beautiful, amazing body that's supporting you in this moment. I'm going to ask to see if you'd like to take a little trip. So just take a deep breath and gently imagine you're in bed and tomorrow morning you wake up and you stretch and feel the start of another day. And as you put your feet on the floor, you look around and things may look a little bit different. You feel strong and healthy. You just know you're in the right place and that your day is going to work out in a beautiful, unexpected way. What would it be like if you had all of your wishes and hopes in that moment and you get out of bed and you walk into the kitchen, if that's your practice, to get something to drink, and you look around and notice you have everything that you need? You feel your wholeness and completeness in your body. You have the success that you want. You have health and happiness in your house. You're part of a community that supports and loves you. And most importantly, your heart is filled. As you visualize, you go throughout your day and things just work out. The people show up that you need to meet. The opportunities are there where you just feel taken care of. And you realize you're at that place that you've imagined, this beautiful place that your life is working out exactly as you would have dreamed. So just picture yourself or feel yourself, if you can imagine it in your mind's eye, or if you could see it or feel it in your body. And just take a deep breath in and feel what it feels like to be in this space. And we'll take a little bit of silent time so you could sit in that, and then I'll call you back. Okay, so I'll call you back and you could take another deep breath in and feel what it's like to embody being exactly where you've dreamt you've wanted to be today. Breathe in and breathe out, and then you could gently open your eyes and move around. Feel that feeling. Yeah.
Is she not the boss or what?
Oh gosh.
Hey.
Oh, you have such a grounding presence. I appreciate it so much.
That means a lot coming from you both. Thank you. Thank you.
That works every time. Like it's just it's funny. Each time I do it with you, the vision becomes clearer and sharper. And like this
Mm,
time I had very specific things that actually surprised me about where I want to be and how it's going to look. Very surprising. I'll share off camera because
Yes, I want to know all about that, Lynn.
that's a whole other thing. But yeah, it's just pure joy.
mm.
Thank you, Marcy, because that's a real gift.
Yes.
You're welcome. It's
Imagine a
available.
whole retreat of that, right?
I
Sunday.
know. I love it. I love this space. And that's available to us at any time. It's easier to practice in community and, like I said, in a retreat space, but to feel that feeling is planting the seeds because it's available. It's available to all of us. Yeah.
Well, thank you, viewers. Thank you, Marcy. Thank you to my friend Andrea, who I am so blessed to have in my life. Give my love to your mom,
I certainly
Nancy
will.
LaFosse.
She's a
And
huge fan of you.
yeah, and Marcy, so great to see you. I can't wait to see you in person. Thank you for your time. We never pay any of our guests. They don't ask for money. They are here as volunteers. And we are happy to serve this community. So thanks for watching. Bye,
Thanks.
everyone.
Thank you, Marcy.
Bye. Thank you.